Hello, everybody, and welcome back to College Football Corner. 4 weeks in the books. Kevin Walsh alongside Jersey Joe Archino to give you all the updates, previews, and recaps. And we're going to be starting to talk about TCU, the team that was ranked number 2 to start the season. They're now moved to 4. Really wouldn't say they've impressed. What have you seen from this team within the first 4 weeks?
You know, it's interesting because Gary Patterson, their head coach, has always been a guy with a defensive identity. And certainly we've seen as of last year and moving forward, his team has certainly transitioned into an offensive-minded unit. They're putting up a lot of points and they're giving up a lot of points. But as long as their offense is able to continually move the ball down the field, you look at Trevon Boykin, one of the most dynamic players in college football. He could beat you with his arm. He could beat you with his legs. He does a little bit of everything. And you've got to be worried as you get later in the season with this defense because, again, you're giving up a lot of points, but their offense has shown that they don't skip a beat. As long as Trevon Boykin can continue to lead them, I think that they will be okay.
And I do want to mention, though, that late game winning touchdown, a play where a tip ball gracefully lands in the hands of an open wide receiver and gets TCU that victory. What do you think a late game winning drive can really do for a team like that and help them moving forward?
You know, I think the one good thing if you're a TCU supporter is you look at a lot of their moments early in the season, starting the season on the road and struggling against Minnesota. You had that really miraculous play to really get you through in this last weekend. Things like that, I think, are wake-up calls for as you move progressively more and more into the season. I think TCU understands there's a lot of work they still have to do, but there's got to have so much confidence because you are still walking away with these games. Your offense is able to move the ball effortlessly down the field whenever you need to. So you've got to think when everything is stacked up against them, they always seem to find a way, and for confidence, that's going to give them a lot.
And now a team that probably doesn't have any more confidence left is Oregon. They're out of the top 25 at the hands of Utah, who have really impressed so far. A 62-20 thrashing of the Ducks. Just an overall recap of this game. What did you see from Oregon? What did you see from Utah?
I honestly don't know if you could see a better change of the times than what we saw here this week in Eugene, Oregon. Utah just goes in there and blows the doors off of the Ducks. And you look at it, Oregon has really struggled all year to get the running game going. And when you put Oregon in consistent passing situations, long yardage situations, that's how you beat them. Vernon Adams Jr. still wasn't 100% with his health. He wasn't able to go that long. Jeff Lokey didn't play very well as well. But again, it all starts with the running game for the Oregon Ducks. That is their 101 mission statement, and they're just not able to do that, and that's just preventing them from doing everything else. But give credit to Utah because Utah is an extremely fundamental and just physical football team. They're just very tough to beat.
And now normally when you think of the Pac-12, especially coming into the season, it was supposed to be Oregon, USC, even Stanford. Well, Utah's really emerged, but the team that seems to be the best of the bunch is UCLA. Quarterback Josh Rosen, the true freshman, has really impressed. They got themselves another victory, moving on to 4-0 on the season. What have you seen from this offense and this team as a whole?
Look, they established themselves as the best team in the Pac-12 this weekend, going on the road against Arizona for such a young player like Josh Rosen. That shows so much poise that he had, just the control that he had at the line. You would have thought that you'd been watching a guy who's been playing his whole life in college football. This kid is just as good as it ever is going to get. I'm honestly embarrassed I picked against him to win. I thought this would be too tough of an early road test in his career, but he was unfazed by it. He effortlessly led UCLA. They're 4-0, and my goodness, we look ahead, there's a lot of sky up there for UCLA.
And, you mentioned you picked against them last week. We're going to get into our pick'ems now. They're coming up against Arizona State, a real tough test again for UCLA. Do you think they pull this one out, and do they move on to 5-0?
You know what? I think they do. I think right now you look at everything that they're doing offensively. They are running the ball tremendously well. Josh Rosen is figuring out his mistakes in games early, making the adjustments extremely well at halftime, and he's coming out and is extremely sharp, finishing off football games. He's only getting better and better, and he's so young as it is, and that defense is very big, very physical. And one thing you always have to look at with Jim Moore's teams, they always finish games very strong. When you can do that in the fourth quarter, you're going to win a lot of football games. I think they beat Arizona State, and they go to 5-0.
I have to agree. College Football Corner has been notorious for the praise of Marcus Mariota, and I think the passing of the torch has happened. It's now going to be Josh Rosen consistently on this show. I'm not picking against the kid. And also, when you have that running back Perkins who's been so good for them, it's really such a two-headed offense, and it's so hard to stop. I see them moving on to 5-0. Now we're going to move on to another big game, 6 versus 12. Notre Dame against Clemson. Clemson at home. Notre Dame's really impressed, but Deshaun Watson has led Clemson to some big victories. Who do you see coming out on top here?
You know, I got to be honest. I really think Clemson is all hype. I mean, the biggest game that they played in all year was against Louisville, and they just squeaked by 20-17. Deshaun Watson, not that impressive. The 2 interceptions, did have the 2 touchdowns, but I just think Clemson is just not as good as everybody wants to try to hype them up to be. Notre Dame is a team that's got a lot of circumstances. Deshaun Kaiser's done a very good job filling in and stepping up. Malik Zaire, he went down for the year with the injury. And I think the thing I like the most about Deshaun Kaiser is he takes advantage of what he has to work with. Him and Will Fuller have the connection going already. That Notre Dame defense has stepped up and played very, very well. I think this is a big moment for the Irish, but I do think that they get it done.
I have to agree in regards to the Notre Dame winning. Disagree a little bit. I do like Clemson. I do think that Deshaun Watson's a very good quarterback, but I just don't think it's enough. I think Notre Dame features the best receiver in the country in Will Fuller. I trust Deshaun Kaiser's playmaking ability and decision-making in the pocket, and when he has to break and make plays. I really think that Notre Dame makes a big statement here. They're currently at 6. A win here could see them break that top 5. Now, a team that was in the top 5 but has been moved out, that's Alabama, and a team that's trying to break into it is Georgia. It's going to be a real good game here. The game is home for Georgia. Who do you see coming out on top?
I think this is the moment where we all kind of look at Georgia and we start to say, okay, this team is really, really good. Grayson Lambert has been phenomenal on the season. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. We all know how good Nick Chubb is. He's a bulldozer. He's got speed, and he's just going to run right over you. This is a Georgia offense that is extremely lethal. And then you look at the defense. They have a great one to boot. Then you look at Alabama, and for me, look, there's just too many red flags for me. I just don't think Jay Coker is giving you enough on offense. I don't think you have a sure thing at quarterback. And when it comes against Georgia, they're going to be able to throw the ball against you consistently. If you're not able to get big passing plays going for Alabama, you're not going to win. And I just don't have the faith in Jay Coker to get that done.
I have to disagree. I just think that Alabama is as good as we thought. They came up against Ole Miss, who's been their Achilles heel, and that took them down a peg. But that run defense you can trust, and if they can stop Nick Chubb and force Georgia to have to throw the ball a bunch of times, I'm not sure Georgia can cope and get it done. I see Alabama winning, get back to their winning ways, and this win might be big enough to get them back into the top 10. And we're going to finally, though, talk about the team that got Alabama out of that top spot. That's Ole Miss. They're at 3, coming up against Florida, who just cracked the top 25. The Gators are home. Do the Gators pull a huge upset here?
The Gators are one of those teams in the nation so far that have really had a lot of luck on their side. I mean, even when you look at their win against Tennessee this weekend, Jim McElwain said, I mean, we've had a lot of luck, and there's no doubt about it. But I look at Ole Miss, and I look at how hard physical their defense is, how they just get after you. They defend, their corners defend so well. And Chad Kelly is just a guy who's got a cannon of an arm. He can really throw the football. I think Florida is going to keep it close. They are at home here, but Chad Kelly with a deep ball, I think he's going to be able to beat the Florida defensive backs many, many times. I think Ole Miss will get the win.
Another disagreement. Give me the Gators. They're home, and I think that this team maybe has a little bit of that magic that we thought BYU had. I really do feel that the Gators can pull this one out. I'm not sure how much I personally trust Chad Kelly, maybe foolishly on my part, but I'm not buying in just yet. So I have the Floriders taking this and making a big, big statement here in Week 5, but we'll just have to see what happens. Now, that is all the time that we have today. Kevin Walsh, Jersey Joe Archino. This has been College Football Corner. We'll see you guys next time.